Well, good afternoon, everybody. It is October the 16th, 2018. I'm Cindy K. Courier. I have a few articles I'd like to share with you. One came out in Bloomberg, October the 10th, 2018, by Godfrey Marawanika, and it reads, Zimbabwe will introduce currency reforms once it's addressed imbalances in government finances, Finance Minister Mthuli Nkubi said. The state plans to put the economy on a stronger footing through measures including cutting expenditure and increasing the efficiency of government delivery systems, Nkubi said in a statement emailed Wednesday from the capital Harare. These reforms shall be accompanied by a strong and sustainable currency reform system, which will follow the And then there's blank. Bloomberg seems to have left out a whole half of a line or line and a half of text here, which I think is interesting. Anyway, after the execution of the above reforms, so lots of typos here. This is necessary to ensure that any currency reform program that the government would put in place is effective and that it has minimum disruption to business. Okay. Interesting. Then we have yesterday, October the 15th, in chronicle.co.zw, Zimbabwe sits on 13 M tons gold reserves. This is Natasha Chamba, business reporter. Zimbabwe is sitting on an estimated 13 million tons of unexploited gold reserves, and only 580 tons have been exploited since 1980, an official has said. Speaking during last week's Mine Lantra Indaba in Bulawayo, head of Gold Development Initiative Fund, GDIF, at Fidelity Printers and Refiners, Mr. Matthew Chidavenzi told delegates who attended the Women in Mining Forum that vast opportunities exist in the gold sector and urged women to seek their slice. The country is currently sitting on 13 million tons of gold deposits, and this is proven. Since 1980, only 580 tons have been exploited. So, as Zimbabwe, we still have a long way to go, he said. Women in mining should grow and expand within the mining sector as there is enough room for them to do so. Mr. Chidavenzi added that the untapped gold reserves, if properly managed, can result in massive economic development in the country, with both women and men working together. The gold that the country is sitting on, if managed properly, can be a breakthrough of the economic development that is so much desired in the country. The country, if it is to export this gold, can bag over $1 trillion of US dollars, he said. This gold is not only going to be mined by men, but also women. Everyone must benefit from this discovery, regardless of gender, so that production is maximized. Mr. Chidavenzi urged people in the mining sector to take up the challenge and beat the 30-ton gold production target set by the government this year. The sector had already clocked a record 28 tons by the end of third quarter of 2018. The Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe has indicated that the country has potential to earn over $4 billion per annum from gold exports if it fully exploits its vast reserves, which, as you probably know, I hope they leave it in the ground, as ordered by Court of Ages. Okay, then today in the ZimbabweMail.com, Zimbabwe stock market hits new highs. Hurrah! Zimbabwe's stock market hit a record high last week, propelled by local investors seeking a safe haven in an economy suffering acute shortages of foreign exchange, a leading financial research firm has said. Equity Axis said in the week under review, stocks shot up astronomically, going beyond the recent all-time high set in November 2017 as uncertainties rattled investors. Over the week, stocks rose by an average of 60%, which has never been achieved in the post-dollarization history of the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange. The financial research firm said panicky investors dumped RTGS balances, opting instead for stocks in speculative moves, which resulted in a huge premium for the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange. As the crash crisis worsened, a monetary crisis came to effect, which almost brought the country to its knees as industry stopped business, citing currency concerns. Okay, this is remarkable because, as most of you probably know, Zimbabwe's been ranked the poorest, if not the next poorest country in the world, several years in a row. I used to check on that every year. I haven't checked on it since I started on this mission back in 2012, I think is the last time I checked. But it looks like things are changing. Also, as you know, Maduro, the president of Venezuela, is saying that he's announcing his new currency backed by assets November the 5th. And is sending their gold, I think, to Turkey to be refined. Let me see if I can find that article. That's also in Bloomberg. Maduro got a salt beef feast, but Turkey gets Venezuela's gold, by Ethan Bronner and Andrew Rosati. When Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro was feted with thick cuts of beef and luxury cigars at Salt Bay's Celebrity Steakhouse in Istanbul last month, he provoked outrage. His citizens at home are starving well. They might be, and they might not be. We don't really know. But the visit also drew attention to an emerging alliance. As the West isolates this government over abuse and corruption, Turkey has become one of its most important backers. Turkish products, pasta, rice, and corn flour filled the heavily discounted food packets Venezuelan officials use to maintain political fealty among the increasingly cash-strapped citizenry. The two countries recently announced joint ventures for gold and coal exploration and have begun talks about Turkey investing in Venezuela's crippled oil industry. And while most big North American and European air carriers have ended service to Venezuela, Turkish Airlines does a 3 times a week run to Caracas via Cuba and plans to set it up to daily flights. Tons of Venezuelan gold strip mined in rancid conditions overseen by the military are being shipped to Turkey for refinement and processing. U.S. officials say some may be making its way to Iran in violation of sanctions on the Islamic Republic. All told, the deals are further evidence that President Recep Tayyip Erdogan's Turkey, a NATO member, may be shifting away from the West toward China, Iran, and Russia. In August, the U.S. imposed sanctions on 2 Turkish government ministers to pressure Erdogan into releasing an American pastor being held on charges of espionage. Further sanctions are being considered. Well, Bloomberg must not have known when this came out. Let's see, when did this come out? This was published on October 11th. Bloomberg obviously wasn't aware that the UN court ordered Washington to lift Iran sanctions linked to humanitarian goods and civil aviation. That was published October 3rd, so Bloomberg wasn't aware. The International Court of Justice, ICJ, has ordered the U.S. to lift sanctions on Iran which are linked to humanitarian goods and civil aviation. According to The Hague, the measures adopted by the U.S. may endanger civil aviation safety in Iran and the lives of its users. These sanctions prevent Iranian airlines from acquiring spare parts and equipment and prevent access to maintenance, repair services, and safety-related inspections which are necessary for civil aircraft, the statement says. Also, restrictions on the importation of purchase of goods for humanitarian needs such as foodstuffs and life-saving medicines as well as treatments for chronic disease or preventative care and medical equipment may have a serious impact on the health and lives of Iranians, the court concluded. The U.S. must remove any impediments to the free exportation of foodstuffs and medicines to Iran and to the safety of civil aviation, the statement added. And I'll let you read the rest of that on your own. Interesting times for certain. So let's just keep an eye on Zimbabwe, see what happens there. Keep an eye on Venezuela, see what happens there. Keep an eye on Turkey and Iran, and let's see what changes happen the world over as we anticipate exciting things ahead. Okay, that's going to be it for now. See you next time.